In France, it's like, even like in cafe, if you let your phone there and you go to the toilet, you come back, there's no more phone. My name is Julie, I'm from France, and I've been living in Korea for 5 years, and I lived in Japan, China, and Australia as well before. Right now, I do acting and modeling. As well, I work with horses, as well entertainment, on filming.
What do you like or dislike about Korea?
So convenient. You have, like the subway, it's like going everywhere. The bus go everywhere. You don't necessarily need a car. It's as well very safe. If I go home very late, like there's no one who's gonna follow me or be creepy. I mean, it could happen, but compared to France, it's like a small percentage.
Is there any dangerous district in France so you don't feel safe there?
Most of the big cities, but in France it's like, even like in cafe, if you let your phone there and you go to the toilet, you come back, there's no more phone. You have to be careful of pickpocket and people in the street. When you're a woman and late at night, you have to be careful. It's just, yeah.
Anything you dislike about Korea?
But in Korea, you have the whole culture of the Konde. So if someone older than you say something to you, even though he's wrong, if you say you do not agree, it's a big problem. And but I think there's a big problem where there's a lot of people who need to question themselves again, because there's an old, style of doing things, and the world evolved very quickly. Of people that evolved and other people that evolved very fast, so it's just kind of like clash between generation, I guess. In Korea, the animal welfare is very low, like the same in Japan and China. After this animal association in Korea right now, they like even 60 to 4-bit dog meat. But when it comes to breeding animals, the condition is really bad. And
Can you give one word to describe Korean, Chinese, and Japanese?
that's so hard, because I think these three countries very similar, but at the same time, because they kind of always be enemy, they have their own, style of religion. And what's different too is how history affect them a lot, because Japan always been very harsh with China and Korea, especially Korea. And Korea always had a lot of trouble with Japan and China. So even today, you can feel the history in what they think and what they do, which is normal, but sometimes it's a bit like too much thinking in the past, and I think it makes people a bit slower. It's really hard. I think China, it's too big, too many people, I would say. Korea, too fast. And they are not really lucky, because the whole country is mostly mountains, so they don't really have a lot of space, which in them forced to put people first, like in education, so they have to be the best in anywhere. So that's the only source they have, like people. And Japan, it's a bit isolation. I don't know. They kind of like staying on it's an island. So. But right now, they kind of bit like, you don't hear so much about them. They are in them sides, which is do the business. And they always done that, I think, like they always do whatever,
As a foreigner, do you think you have any privilege living in Korea?
France immigration is not that complicated. It's still complicated, but it's not that complicated. I guess in Korea, it's a bit complicated, because to have a stable life or even obtain a visa, it's really hard, because they ask a lot of paper, and you need points to get like the resident visa and stuff like that. I will not say a privilege, but for sure it's not easy as a foreigner to be living here.
What is the interesting part of being a horse trainer?
I grew up with horses since I'm a kid, and it's kind of a part of me. I cannot go anywhere without being around horses. It just comes to me anywhere I go. I think being a horse trainer is something, it teaches you life, I think, because it always makes you question yourself on a lot of things, because every horse is different. Every time you restart a training with a new horse, it's like come back to the beginning. Working on yourself and learning how to handle your emotion, because anything that your emotion affects you will affect the horse, because they can as well, they're able to hear you hurt it. Horses will teach you all your life. Anyone that learns with horses will always tell you every day you learn something new. Even the best master in the world will always one day find a horse that, I think I have to think about this is not working, Maybe I have to change something. Usually the best masters, we always say that the best or the most intelligent people are the ones thinking that they don't know anything or they don't know everything.
As a horse trainer, do you support horse racing?
I don't know, because as we say, there's horse racing everywhere. It's kind of a very tough question, because the whole industry has a lot of money, and it's just the way they breed the horses is, especially in Korea, it's like kind of cycle. They have to breed the horses for racing. The horses is not good out. So which is tough on horses as well. But at the same time, if we stop horse racing, it means that the breed for horse racing might disappear, because we don't need them anymore. I think it's possible to find a middle ground, more enforcement for horse welfare. But it's like any industry, when there's a lot of money inside, there's a lot of abusing thing happening. So I'm a bit middle ground. I would say if there is no more racing. There is racing, I guess we can do better. That's what I think.
When is the last time you go back France, and do you miss your home countries?
It was weird, because some things changed and some other things didn't change at all. Like time traveling, it was very strange. I felt like a teenager again. It was like, oh my God. But at the same time, it's when I realized that I have a big part of myself still in Korea and a part of myself in France. I mean, good food. I love Korean food. I know that if I go back to France, I will miss Korean food. And this is the same here now. I miss French food. As well, I got used to hearing people with different language. So when I hear people speaking only French, it's very strange to me.
Food in France is better than the Korean food in Korea. Do you agree
No.
with it?
No. I do not agree with them. And I actually, I had an anecdote like that. When I came back to Korea, sitting next to a Korean woman, and she actually lived in Paris. She lived in Paris, but she told me, we have a funny conversation. She told me every year she comes back to Korea at least for a month, and she say, I spend my whole month just eating and seeing my family, because she say, when I eat Korean food in France, it's not the same. It's not the same taste. It's not authentic as much as in Korea. And I agree that
You want to tell others about France?
don't only visit Paris, please. Go somewhere else. I mean, Paris is pretty. There's many things to see, but don't just visit Paris. Just go, don't just think about Mont Saint-Michel as well, please. Just go Bordeaux, Toulouse, Strasbourg, Lyon, Nantes, around the beach, Nice, Marseille, Cannes, all these places like this. Even the mountain. There's so many things to see in France. And actually, you'd be more surprised to visit outside of Paris than in Paris, because Paris is usually a very romantic vision, which is not really true. I advise you to not just thinking France, Paris, and define France with Paris, because you might be disappointed. I think that's the thing, yeah. I think France, it's tough times right now, but I really hope that things gonna get better